Whether you're an avid property investor or about to buy your first property, why do it alone when you could partner with Australia's best buyer's agent? Director of Pure Property Investment, Property Investment Professionals of Australia board member and REB Buyer's Agent of the Year, Paul Glossop, can take your portfolio to the next level. Get in touch today to discuss your investment goals. Get one-on-one insight from Paul Glossop. And for the first 100 people, this service is completely free. Head to purepropertyinvestment.com today to schedule your consult with Paul Glossop directly.
Welcome to the Smart Property Investment Show with your host, Phil Tarrant.
Okay, how you going? Welcome to the podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Investor story today, and we've been sort of all over the joint recently trying to get stake of this market and looking at some of the market dynamics that everyone's focusing on right now. And as you've been tuning in recently, no one really knows what's going on. There's a lot of buyers in the market, a lot of frustrated buyers in the market who can't manage to get their hands on a property because there's too many of them out there and they're losing at auction and they're getting annoyed and pissed off, and a lot of people are losing their spirit. So if that sounds like you, stay the course. You'll be all right. Don't rush anything. Don't make any silly purchases under stress or under pressure. So slow down, take a few breaths. Take yourself out of the game for a little while if you need to reset and recharge, but keep at it, because when's the right time to invest in property? It's always the right time to invest in property if you can actually secure the finance and afford it. So keep at it. Keep tuning in to Smart Property Investment Show and smartpropertyinvestment.com.au. Hopefully we're helping you out with some of that guidance or motivation or even some perceptions that's going to help shape you investing in property and growing wealth. We like investor stories, as I said, and today's going to be one of those. This is not a data person. This is not another buyer's agent. This isn't a mortgage broker. It's not an accountant. It's I believe it is, a property investor, but I think there may be a backstory in there somewhere. So welcome, Tina Tower. How are you going, Tina? You well?
Thanks, Phil. Yeah, great. Thank you.
So there is a backstory, right?
I'm none of those things.
You're a property investor, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that you wear it with a badge of honour?
No, I actually don't really talk about it very often. So this is quite an interesting.
So how did you end up here? Because for me, and a lot of people listen to this show, right? And maybe, probably a good chance for me to explain it with Tina here is that, or literally, you can see it here, Tina. I got this, it's a calendar invite. It says Smart Property Investment Podcast with Tina Tower. And it says organised by Emma. And it says Investor, bought first property at 18. That's all I know about you.
Yeah, super exciting when the person you come in with goes, yeah, who are you? I have no idea who you are.
Who you are. But it allows me to actually be what I believe a good journalist should be, and that's quite curious, right?
Yeah.
So, and I am curious that, you know, the very quick chat we had before we went on air, I went, this should be okay. And I've learned during that period of time, you have your own podcast. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I've got Her Empire Builder. So I love podcasting. Podcasting's my favourite thing. I mean, you know, there's days where you just don't feel up to video. You can always do audio. This face, made for audio. So yeah, I love a podcast. I've had it for a couple of years and love the intimate medium.
Like, how did you get into it, podcasting? It's interesting. I've been doing a little bit longer than you, I think. But
Yeah. I think, how did I get into it? I bought like a Rode lapel mic, plugged it into my phone and started. Was really the complexity of it. I read somewhere that it was a good idea to add it in, and I guess I liked the sound of my own voice.
Yeah, I don't like it. It was really funny.
That's not true.
I've got to be quite conscious sometimes because, you know, I'm pretty relaxed with how I do this sort of stuff. And, you know, I try not to be over prepared, or I am really prepared because I can talk about property, right? So I know what's going on, but I don't want to know too much so I can ask the questions that I know the audience want me to ask, and I do that deliberately. But it's funny because you have such an intimate relationship with your audience who are listening to this podcast, and right now there's like many tens of thousands of people listening to this podcast. So I've got to sit there and just go, oh, well, they sort of expect me to do a particular thing or see something a particular way, or they have some thought about what I might look like or how I behave. And when they meet you, they go, you're completely different to what I thought. Yeah. You know, so you must get the same.
Yeah, the first time my voice got recognised in an elevator was a couple of weeks ago, and I walked in. I was going to a business event, and we walked in, and I'm one of those people that get into an elevator and just kind of go,
yapping.
Good morning, hi, because, you know, everyone's just there with their head down, and someone turned around and went, oh my gosh, are you Tina Tower? I went, yeah. She goes, I recognise your voice. I was like, yeah, I've made it as a podcaster.
Is that your real name?
Yeah.
Because it sort of works pretty well.
Yeah,
it's not like Phil Tarrant. It's like Tina Tower. You can't say without smiling.
No, you know? A lot of people call me by my full name. So, yeah, it's a catchy name. I got very lucky when I met my husband, and we were dating at the time, and he told me his full name, and I was like, oh, that has a ring to it. I like that. So he went up in stock.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, well. We're here to speak about you investing in property, but you're a podcast, and your podcast is around your journey in business and how you can look to maybe support other people who are also on that journey and empower and all that sort of stuff, which is really cool. But your journey through business allowed you to become a property investor.
Definitely.
Is that pretty much the story of this podcast today?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I got really good advice early on to get your business profits and put them into property. And I mean, I went to my first Robert Kiyosaki seminar when I was 16. So I was always kind of wanting it. Yeah.
You wanted property or you wanted wealth?
Both.
Okay.
Both of those things.
Now that I guess you got it, are you happy with it?
Yeah.
Yeah? Is it good?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, everyone that says money doesn't buy happiness, I don't know if they've ever been broke. Okay. So, I've gone through both stages of growing business where I've been completely flat broke. I got one of my properties at the 110% loan and then got into a huge amount of financial trouble.
Okay.
So there's so many things where I've had no money and then I've had lots of money and I know which one is more fun.
Okay. And now do you have lots of money or you've got enough for you to do what you want to do? And the reason why I ask that question is that most property investors that come to the studio, everyone's got this dream of, call it retirement or the choice to retire. And that normally involves a number as in, I need to make this much money every year from my property investment to keep me happy away from work.
I have that number.
You do?
Yeah.
Do you share that number?
No. And this is when you were saying that, I was like, oh shit, this is quite, no, I never talk about money with people. It's a thing that I think we should do more of. So yeah, I'll be honest, I'll be all in on it. So yeah, my goal is always to get $500,000 a year passive income. Okay. Which I'm nowhere near yet. So yeah, I've still got a long way to go, but so that's my number.
That's enough for you to
live happily ever after.
It's really, and it always changes, right? But like, and everyone's number, I don't actually have a number.
Really?
No, I don't. And I'll speak about this a bit, but investors seem to associate a level of happiness with the level of income to promote happiness. But what makes people happy changes over time.
Yeah, completely.
Depending on your life stage, right?
I don't associate it so much with happiness. I was happy with a lot less than what I have now. It's just the things it allows you to do day to day, which is fun.
So do you work now?
Yes, I do.
Okay. What's your job?
My job? No, my job's not a
passion,
podcaster.
Is it?
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of a good marketing tool into the business that I run is why we do the podcast. So the main business I have is helping females that usually have a lot of business experience, package their expertise into online courses, speaking, like all the personal brand sort of stuff.
Can you do me a favour?
Yeah.
One of the biggest struggles I have with this podcast is getting female guests on. And maybe
I'm sharing this, so all of the lovely ladies listening, come on in. But I think that's down to the not talking about money.
Do you reckon that's what it is?
Completely, yeah.
Because I always struggle with it, and we don't get a lot of negative feedback about the show.
Yeah.
But the only constructive feedback I would get were people saying, it's a bit blokey, Phil.
Yeah.
Get more girls on, get more females on.
My girlfriends and I have talked about this in going, because we go to a lot of business events, and if we go to ones with men and we're the minority in the room, you'll hear all these different conversations going on, I bought this and I bought stocks in this and I got this property, and someone will say, oh, what mortgage did you get and what's your interest rate and all of the different things. But women don't talk about that as freely. It's almost this taboo sort of subject.
Long only on you to identify some really cool women.
I got a really long list.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Let's do that. And I'd like to think it's pretty easy as well, right?
Yeah.
Like, just coming and having a chat about what you're doing and
share personal, intimate details with tens of thousands of people.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's the only way to do it, right? One of the bases of this show was myself and my business partner, Alex, who a lot of people have heard on the show beforehand. We set up Smart Property Investment probably about, it's got to be like probably 7 or so years ago, right? On the basis that, the information around property investment, you just look at it and just go, just bullshit, right? It is just largely what everyone wants you to think they're doing. It's like social media, right? You only see the absolute best. So we went, let's create this thing. It started off a magazine. Now it's a big web platform and this podcast and stuff.
It's
awesome. We'll share our property journey, investing in property, and we still do it. And it's really, really cool, right? So I share all the stuff that we've done wrong and all the stuff that we've done right. We're just fortunate that most of the things we've done have been right.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to share that stuff. So those girls out there, come on the show and let us know what you're going on, because normally they're the brains of the outfit as well, right? I can say that. But females tend to make most of the significant financial decisions. You must see it in the work that you do within a sort of a family-orientated environment, whatever that looks like. And that looks very different today.
I mean, I work with really ambitious, driven women. So, they all do that.
So you must have been, well, you are one of them, but at a point in time, you were an ambitious woman who embarked a career building a business. But to your point, that advice you got, which is very, very sound, is make your money in business, park it in property, right?
Yes.
That's how most people create wealth.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the plan.
So where did the journey start?
I bought my first property when I was 18, so a couple months after my 18th birthday, and I couldn't afford to buy in Sydney, so I bought a unit in Queanbeyan, just outside of Canberra, that I still have now. So
When was that?
That was, what year would that have been? 2001?
Oh, okay.
Is my maths right?
19 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow. So you just told us how old
Did I
you are.
get that right?
Yeah.
2000? 2001. I'm 36
thereabouts.
now, so the people that are better with numbers can work that
Thereabouts.
out. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And you still got it now.
I've still got it
So I
now.
imagine you've done pretty well.
Yeah, well, I bought it for 70,000. Yeah, it's worth about 260 now. So yeah, it was a good little one to start with.
What was it?
A 2-bedroom apartment.
Okay, in Queanbeyan.
Yeah.
Like on the main drag there, or sort of out?
No, it's like out next to the bush kind of area.
Did you live there for a period of time, or was it just an investment?
No, it was just an investment. And this was, do you want me to touch on like the mistakes that I made?
Absolutely. That's what everyone wants to hear, right?
Okay. And I had to pay it back, so I won't get into any trouble saying it. So I got the first homeowners grant when I did it, and obviously was a student at university in Sydney, and so could not be living in Queanbeyan, and so had to repay that to the government. It was $7,000. I had to pay back $10,000, and I had 21 days to do it.
So they actually fined you $3,000.
Yeah. So that was a big kind of early lesson in doing the right thing. But I was really pissed off at the stage because I'd always worked really hard. I had 3 jobs through high school, and everyone I went to uni with was living off their parents and had youth allowance and all these things. And I'm like, I want to get an investment property. I can't get a home yet. Damn it, I'm entitled to that too. And so I did, but obviously bad call.
And the thing is that as you get experience, you work out that it's not the right thing to do. But the way you frame that stuff at that point in time, it's easy to do it. And I remember back when I was at university, I didn't come from a particularly wealthy background. I got they called it OS study or something back then, or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So I got that because I'd come from a low income house, right?
Yeah.
And I went, well, okay, that's cool. Well, that's fine. It's a government subsidy, and I should. But then I also worked 3 or 4 jobs and made a whole bunch of money. So when I did my tax, they went, well, you can't actually earn money. You can't earn money and get that. And I'm going, but
I was ineligible because I worked too many jobs.
Full-time university, and this helped me through university, and I'm using my own entrepreneurialism to actually go, no, they went, no, pay back. So I had to pay it all back as well.
Yeah.
Which was the wrong thing to do. It's the wrong thing to do. But how'd you stump up 10 grand?
I borrowed from everybody.
Okay.
So I borrowed a couple of thousand from a friend, a couple of thousand from my boyfriend, a couple of thousand from my grandma. I had to like pull it all together. And luckily,
And it would be the New South Wales Office of State Revenue would have given it. Was it state or federal? Maybe it was federal. I can't remember. Did they go, thank you? Or they just went, okay, that's all gone away?
Yeah, it was just done.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you still have the property now.
That was my first of many mistakes.
It's good to share your mistakes because it's the only way you can learn. So that was the first property that you purchased, and you still have it now. I want to ask a few more questions about it, but we'll just go to a break beforehand. We'll be back in a moment.
Worried about making the wrong choice with your next investment? You're not alone. If you truly want to become the master of your own lifestyle design through real estate, then you need to speak with Buyers Agents, who'll help you acquire cash flow positive properties in high growth areas with value add potential, so you can create more freedom in your life. Visit dashdot.com.au/SPI.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm here with Tina Tower. I do like how the two words sit together, but thanks for sharing that story around your, let's say, maybe foolish enterprise of receiving a first-home buyer's grant when you probably shouldn't. And to be fair, I hear a lot of people doing this. So,
that's good.
they're not paying it back, like still trying to potentially see whether or not they can circumvent the rules.
You.
So the ability for the Australian Tax Office and other relevant bodies to data match now is huge, much more back than what it was in 2001. And recently we had a guest from the ATA on, and we had a really good chat, and they're all about education, which is cool. So just do what's right. It doesn't benefit anyone if you try and do that sort of stuff. So be warned, play by the rules. So you still have the property right now.
Yeah.
And other than that particular headache that you had, has it been by and large okay?
No, we've been to tribunal a couple of times.
Okay.
In the time.
Tenants not paying their bills.
One refused to get out, and we had to call the sheriff in. They were there for like 13 or 14 weeks before we had to do that. And then the second time was when they They lit a fire inside on the carpet.
Okay. As you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was my 2 visits to tribunal with
Was
that
there a problem
one.
with the heating? Was there?
I
Was
don't
it
know.
too many tins of VB one night?
I don't know.
Yeah.
No, those same people, they like chipped tiles off the wall and all of those sorts of things that you just go, property, really?
Yeah. Did you have it insured?
Yeah.
Okay. So you got the money back.
Yeah.
Okay. It's just a bit of a headache.
Yeah.
Okay. So when did you launch your business?
When I was 20.
Okay. So not long after. I'm trying to work out the math. So
I started my business in 2004, which means I bought the property in 2002.
Okay, there you go.
There we go.
All
Got
right,
my
so you bought this probably while you were at university. What did you study at uni?
Primary teaching.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. And did you ever work as a teacher?
No,
Okay.
not a day. I started my business in my second year of uni. So by the time I finished uni 2 years later, I was so hooked on business, there was no way I was going into a classroom. Loved it.
Okay, and the business was around?
Primary tutoring.
Okay.
Yes.
So teaching kids from kindy
Yeah.
all the way to year 6?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, so we got a lot of struggling readers in and did that, and I had an educational toy store and a birthday party place and a whole fun thing going on.
Where was the birthday party place?
All in the one building.
Okay.
Yeah, so we were
cool.
running in school holidays. We ran like science and craft parties, and then we started doing them on the weekends for people's birthdays. It's good fun.
Great. So property 2 years later, started your business. When did you buy your next property?
Before that, when I was 19.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the second property was when did you buy?
In 2003.
Okay. So, wow, that's pretty quick. And what did you buy?
Oh, don't get too excited. It's not like when people buy property and you're like, ooh, fancy Sydney property. So you might laugh at me when I tell you. So I had a simple property investment strategy of if the rent covered the insurance, the rates and the mortgage, I was in. That was fine. That's all I needed because I didn't earn enough money to kind of support negative gearing. I was like, that's all I need. So I did a realestate.com.au search and put all houses, because someone told me get houses, not apartments. Now that I've got an apartment, I should get a house. So I searched every property in Australia, 3 bedrooms and up, for a self-standing house. And I bought the cheapest one.
Where was it?
In Collinsville, a little mining town inland from Mackay.
Okay, that's the middle of nowhere. Mm-hmm. I'm sure it's a lovely place. I've never been to Collinsville. I'm sitting there trying to work out my geography.
Yeah.
So how much did you pay?
I paid the whopping price of $55,000.
Okay. Do you still have it?
Mm-hmm. Not by choice.
Okay. How much do you think it's worth now?
So my mistake that I made there was, it wasn't a total mistake. So I bought it for 55. At the time it was renting out for 110. So it was good. And then the rent went up to 280 when the mine was booming. And so then eventually, like years later when we bought another house, I sucked everything out of it and refinanced it. So the mortgage on it is 175. I'd be lucky now to get 100,000 if I sold it.
Okay.
Whoops.
Well, maybe. What did you do with the money that you sucked out of it?
Yeah, we bought another house, which ended up really good.
Okay. Well, in hindsight, when you look at, you've bought in Queanbeyan, you've done pretty well. And things like, probably nearly quadruple in value since the time you've had it. And did you, in order to buy this place in Collinsville, did you have to touch the mortgage or refinance the Queanbeyan property?
I actually looped them together in a combined loan.
Okay.
Which was not a good idea.
So you sort of, okay. But the Collinsville place, and sort of going down a path of saying diversification, you diversified in terms of region, location, asset class and state, right?
Yeah.
So it's a big diversification. And it didn't cost you anything. So it's a very much a, sensible from a yield point of view and a cash flow point of view, which is what a lot of investors often, they hunt and chase capital growth and they can't hold the even though it's going in value.
Yeah.
They can't hold the profit, much like a business, right? Like some of the best businesses that are highly profitable go broke because they don't have the right cash flow, right?
Yeah, completely.
So it's okay. So what did you buy from the refinance from Collinsville?
So with that, we then bought the house that we were living in.
Okay. So it's in many ways a smart strategy because it got you into a
thanks for making me feel
principal
better
place
about
of
that.
residence.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Are you still there now, the same place?
No.
No. Okay.
We've moved many times since
Many
then.
times since. And you don't still own that property?
No.
No. Okay. So how many investment properties do you have in total now?
3.
Okay.
And
Plus
our
a
home.
principal place residence. And principal place residence somewhere in Sydney, is it?
I'm on the Central Coast.
Oh, are you?
So up Avoca Beach.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's very cool. It's a nice part of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like McMaster's down.
just down the road.
Just down the road, which is quite nice. So you still got the Queanbeyan place, you still have the Collinsville place, and what is the third investment property?
So it's in Pottsville, just like halfway between Byron Bay and Gold Coast.
Okay. And what is it? A house?
A house, yeah. And that one's been the best thing I've ever bought
Why is that?
because it's perfection.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
And is the idea to move there one day?
No.
Okay.
So we used to live in Pottsville.
Okay.
So we had an acreage there that was gorgeous. And then how I got that house, I sold my company in 2016 and I got the deposit for it. And I guess up until that time, like we'd run business and the business had done well, but you never get that huge chunk of cash.
Yeah.
And I got pretty excited about it. And I was like, I'm going to spend this if I give myself too much time. So it cleared in the bank account on Thursday and I went on the weekend. I said, the best house I find on Saturday, I will buy to get that in and get that locked away.
So you didn't trust yourself with cash in the bank?
Pretty much, yeah.
Fair enough.
Pretty much. You've got to know your own
At least
limitations,
you know yourself, right? So tell me about the Pottsville place.
Yeah, so I bought that for $595.
Yeah.
And it's been beautiful. It was like an 18-month-old house when I bought it in like one of the housing estate kind of things up there that's a kilometre back from the beach. And we've had beautiful tenants and they've taken great care of it and it's great.
It doesn't cost you anything, the whole...
No.
And did you put a big deposit on it or just enough to...
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right. So there's still a mortgage on it, but
Yeah.
it's not ridiculous in size.
No, and I think I might make that bigger so we don't have a mortgage on our home that we live in.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you'll refinance the Pottsville place and use that cash to pay off. All right. So
Yeah.
your principal as a resident should be completely unencumbered of any debt.
Yeah.
Okay. And what's the strategy behind that for you?
I think, tax reasons come into it for a little bit. And then also it's the dream of having a deed, which I don't know what it looks like.
Okay.
And hopefully it's a very exciting looking piece of paper that has like deed in running writing on the top.
I thought it's the printed out thing you do.
I'll be very disappointed.
Yeah.
I might have to make up my own on the computer or something. But I don't know. I've always had the dream of just knowing that home is safe and it doesn't matter what else. If I make a mistake somewhere else, we've got that.
Yeah. And the only thing is it's the attraction of going, I'll just refinance it again because these great opportunities come up and then things
Not
snowball.
home.
No.
Once I get that home, done.
So the family unit, you got kids and all that sort
Yeah,
of
I
stuff?
got 2 kids and a husband.
Okay, cool. And they're up there at school, so that's your life. That's where you've chosen to live and all that sort of stuff. So do you think you've done, is that enough in terms of, like, you've got these, how big's the loan left on Queanbeyan?
120.
Okay. And then Collinsville is 175.
Like one, yeah.
So it's not huge, and Pottsville's got probably what, I don't know.
About 100.
Okay. It's not a huge amount of debt that you got.
No.
Like 400 odd grand, is that
I
right?
would take more if they let me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's have a chat about that, but we'll go to a break beforehand. We'll be back in a moment.
Yeah.
Do you want to capitalise on the projected growth opportunities in Brisbane? Streamline Property Buyers are your local area experts with a qualified property investment advisor, licensed builder and rent specialist, making them the most qualified buyers agents in Brisbane. This team know Brisbane property better than anyone else. Find out more at streamlineproperty.com.au.
Welcome back, everyone. Here with Tina Tower, chatting through her journey investing in property. So you can't get a mortgage now?
No.
Why not?
So I sold my company and then we travelled around the world for a year.
It's okay.
So we went there and then we came back and I thought, all right, it's time to, we sold our house before we went, like where we were living, our principal place of residence. And yeah, so we went travelling for a year. We went to 28 countries, which was awesome. And then came back and went, all right, let's buy another place.
So a whole year.
Yeah.
How old are your kids?
They're now 10 and 11.
Okay.
So they were 8 and 9 when we left.
It's not a bad age.
It's perfect.
Did you homeschool them or school
Technically,
by,
yeah.
what do they call it, school by correspondence?
We didn't do
or whatever?
much.
No.
We let life be the school, which was great.
Do you think in hindsight it was a good mate of mine is just about to go and spend 6 months with his family
Nice.
in Europe
Yeah.
on the same basis, just
Yep.
cut themselves away from
Greatest year of my life.
all the responsibilities they have here and do it. And I think they're going to do a bit of like correspondence school. But
Yeah.
do you think it was a positive experience for the kids?
Completely.
Yeah.
Yeah, completely.
Are they more grounded or more resilient or what sort of life skills do you
all
reckon
of
they got?
that.
Yeah.
All of the resilience, mature. Like when they came back, they were weirdly mature. Like they were acting a bit too adulty and it took a while to get back into school and start
Being
acting like
kids.
kids again.
Yeah.
They were saying some things. I was like, you sound like a full weirdo when you say that. You can't talk like that now. Like you've got to, yeah. But they had, for 7 months, we were in non-English speaking countries. So the only people they had to talk to really was us. So it really made us a tight unit.
That's
but
good.
yeah, it changed their language skills and all sorts of things. But now I think they do a lot of things and make decisions that I think, I don't know if they would have done that if they hadn't had that experience. So yeah,
That's cool.
it was amazing.
I guess I'm personally interested in that, but the connectivity between growing a business for a purpose, did you always think was it a strategy planning it, build it up, sell it, go and travel for a year, but in that process build a property portfolio in JC? Was it that structured, or was it just sort of happened by?
I always wanted property. I was really disappointed I couldn't get more. I've always struggled getting finance.
That's because you're
self-employed and we do all sorts of fancy things with our accounting that, doesn't lend itself. And I found once you have 3 or more investment properties, you don't qualify for a whole heap of products from the banks as well. Even though a couple of mine are really little and crappy, they still just count the number of total. So that was a shame. But yeah, the strategy was always to build the business and then sell and then travel.
Okay.
Yeah, but we didn't know what we'd do after. So when we left to go around the world, we secretly thought we would end up buying a surf resort in Costa Rica and staying there for the next 10, 20 years. But our oldest wanted to come back and go to school.
Okay. Why surf resort? Do you and your husband surf?
I don't. My husband does.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can see where the charm would be in owning a surf resort.
Yeah, totally. And I felt like I needed, I worked really hard at the end. I mean, obviously, to build any business, you got to work really hard. But the last couple of years were really a sprint to the finish. I had 35 tutoring centres around the country and we had 120 staff, and it was heavy. It was big, and I was working 12-hour days, and I really wanted to kind of let my family know I'm here.
Do you think the year travelling your family offset what might be perceived as time you missed out with them?
Completely.
Yeah. And did you make it right?
I made it right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it a conscious thing, or is it just?
It was a super conscious thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So because my husband's a stay-at-home dad, and so he was a stay-at-home dad for the last 6 years of my business. And so when we started traveling, it was totally like him and my 2 sons, so like our boys, were like this really tight-knit unit, and I was completely on the outside.
Yeah.
I just didn't even realise how removed I was from their inner circle.
Did it take long to
About
connect?
3 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that wasn't deliberate. It's just organically how it become.
Yeah. So it took a long time. But now I talk to them, and, I talk to them about the end of the business and that sort of thing, and they have blissfully forgotten.
Okay. Did they sort of get what you were doing? Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think
it's a huge compromise, like doing what you've done and building a business and to that sort of size and scale.
Yeah, it is for
right?
anybody. Yeah. But they have never known me any other way. So I had the business for 4 years before my first son was born.
Okay.
So they've only ever known me as, working and having that on the side. But yeah, I had to undo and let them know they were my number one priority, which I'd always said that because every parent says that.
Yeah.
But at the time, they were not.
Did you switch off really quickly after?
Yes.
It's turning more of a business thing, but did you get seller's remorse at all at any point in time?
I didn't get seller's remorse. I had a massive identity crisis in going, I'd been doing the one thing since I was basically a teenager. And then I remember going to a conference just after I sold, and someone said, what do you do? Because that's what everyone says when they meet you. Yeah. And I was like,
nothing.
I don't know. I don't know who I am anymore.
Well, you say on property investors what you are.
No, I would never say that ever. No, never. No. So yeah, that was really hard to kind of work out then, okay, I've got the total choice. I could never work again if I wanted to. Like, who do I want to be when I grow up? What's that gonna look like? And that was very hard. But I switched off. The weird part was when I sold the business and they took my email address, they took my phone, they took everything. So I literally went from being so in demand all day, every day, and never getting to breathe to complete silence, which was weird and disturbing and took a long time to adjust to.
So as part of life after the first version of your professional career, you're doing speaking and working with highly motivated, sense-charged females looking to make a difference in life, and that's really cool. And you got a story, no doubt, that people would look to emulate because and you seem okay with it as well, like, this where you are now as in where the next opportunity is. And we're talking about how you wish you could have more property or get more property. So do you got to start working again in some way or another, which a bank is happy with.
Yes.
And you can show it. So they'll start going, here's some more. We're happy to give you debt.
Yeah, exactly. So when we came back from the trip and I was like, all right, I'm ready now. We've got all this money. We can use as deposits and buy all these places. But yeah, so I had too many properties to qualify. And weirdly, I thought wouldn't make a difference. We had no home address for the previous year, which was a big issue.
The banks don't like that.
Yeah,
right?
they're like, well, where have you lived the last 6 months?
What did you say, in a camper van or
nowhere.
something? Yeah.
Nowhere. We had no address. Like we were nowhere.
No fixed address.
Yeah, we moved every 3 or 4 days. So they didn't like that. Yeah, they didn't like a lot of things.
So it's getting easier. Oh, who's helping you sort of go down the path of making sure that you can present a proposition to a bank that they're happy with?
I have a wonderful mortgage broker.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just work with her and she kind of puts it all together and then tells me what I need to do in order to do the different things that I want to do. So now it's going, okay, do we get that one big place and sell the little things, or do we keep them, and trying to work out that. But no one has a crystal ball. So it's challenging to make these decisions.
It's tough, right? But you don't need to be in a rush either, to be fair.
No.
Which is to the point I made at the start of the podcast. There's a lot of people out there right now who are rushing, thinking they're going to miss out if they don't do it. And when you rush, irrespective of whether it's business or property or even relationships, when you start making poor decisions. So it's good to stop and take a breath. So, enjoy where you are right now.
I've kind of rushed everything though to this point. Maybe I should now take that and go, all right, new chapter, let's breathe.
So tell me a little bit about your podcast audience, Tina. Are they just the same type of people you connect with?
Yeah, very similar people to me. So a lot of my podcast audience have businesses already. I don't know about property, and this is the thing, we don't talk about it enough. So it's somehow, I don't know, crude to go, like even when you ask me figure questions and I'm like, oh my gosh, now everyone's going to know this.
My wife hates talking about money.
Yeah, but the thing is I'm intrigued by it. Like if I meet someone and they've done, one of my girlfriends has, I think, 30 or 40 properties. She's amazing, but you would never know, ever.
Which is okay. I think some of the best property investors I know are really humble. Like you'd never know. And that's a good thing. That's the way I like to play it. That the only doing this particular podcast is a real dichotomy for me, because I quite like being the grey man, right? I don't like people knowing what I'm doing, but the purpose of this podcast is to talk about what I'm doing. So it's a bit of a catch-22, but it's cool though. Most property investors are pretty sound, and there's people that go, you shouldn't talk about money, it's rude, which is a bit of an old-fashioned attitude towards it. But the problem is that I think everyone should be talking about money in a constructive way, because it's not the responsibility of schools or whatever for your kids to be financially literate. I think it starts at home. Yeah. So if parents can talk about money in a comfortable way, kids grow up with a better relationship about money, and then they'll be happy to talk about money in the future.
Completely.
So, but let's get some. So what's your podcast called?
Her Empire Builder.
Her Empire Builder. Okay. Yeah. So let's get some of your part of your community come into the show and talk about property in a good way and positive
that'd be great.
And if you choose to play this out on your own podcast channel, if anyone wants to contact us, it's editor at smartpropertyinvestment.com.au. That's how you can connect, or connecting with Tina, we can sort that out. But I've really enjoyed the chat.
Connecting with Tina, you can sort that out. Yeah. TinaTower.com.
So TinaTower.com. Okay. That's probably the best way to do it, isn't it? Yeah. It's good. This is, you can potentially solve, it's not a problem for me, but it's something that I'd like to remedy, and that is
Happy to solve that one.
Women on the podcast.
I will send you as many women as you would like.
Very good.
Yeah.
That's good. Well, thanks so much for your time.
Thanks, Phil.
And keep at it. And when you sort out what you're doing in terms of finance and also come back on and tell us all about it. And tell us more numbers.
Yeah,
I haven't given you too much of a hard time around it, because I see there's this quasi-reluctance to talk too much about money.
Interest rates and everything like that are all, and that's why podcasts like this are really great in going, what's even possible. I had someone the other day, like a friend, talk to me and ask what interest rate I was on, and I told them, and they nearly fell off their chair going, why are you paying that?
Well, your broker should be helping out, but you probably can't refinance.
But I don't have a job.
Yeah.
So you can't do much when you're unemployed.
It's a good point.
Yeah.
You can't have your cake and eat it, right?
No.
Anyway, thank you.
Thanks.
Remember to check out smartpropertyinvestment.com.au. If you're not yet subscribing to our daily morning newsletter, so you're the first to know what's going on in property and property investment right across Australia at smartpropertyinvestment.com.au/subscribe. Social media, Smart Property HQ, which is where you can track us down and check us out. Remember, Her Empire Builder is Tina Towers' podcast. I might go and listen to it. I've never listened to it before, but I will do. And get in touch if you're one of these part of Tina's community who are highly supercharged around creating wealth and mainly through property. We'd love to have you come on the show and have a chat about that. We'll be back again next time. Until then, bye-bye.
The information featured in this podcast is general in nature and does not take into consideration your financial situation or individual needs and should not be relied upon. Before making any investment, insurance, tax, property, or financial planning decision, you should consult a licensed professional who can advise whether your decision is appropriate for you. Guests appearing on this podcast may have a commercial relationship with the companies mentioned.
If you're a regular listener to the Smart Property Investment Show, then odds are you're already a property fanatic who loves hearing stories on investing from real people, the good, the bad and the ugly. Be with people just like you and join the group Passionate Property Investors on Facebook now. Become part of a community who know what to do and when to do it. And the time to do it is now. Passionate Property Investors. Tribe, tools and tips. Find us on Facebook today.